Send in the humans. That's what they say when the Bolians start blasting human colonies to ash. Captain Tyler Stevens stands in the ruins of Outer Rim Colony X-317. Blackened skeletons litter the ground. Twisted metal structures jut into the smoke-filled sky like the ribcage of some long-dead beast. Stevens radios back to Earth Command. It's bad, sir. Real bad. Bolians used some kind of bioweapon. No survivors. Earth Command is hesitant to retaliate at first. They want diplomacy, negotiations. But then the Bolians hit 3 more colonies in rapid succession. Human worlds burn. Panic spreads like wildfire through the outer systems. The Pan-Galactic Council, those useless bureaucrats, stay silent. Won't get their hands dirty. Humanity stands alone against the Bolian onslaught. Weezon, the Bolian emperor, has the gall to claim humans are a threat to galactic peace, says we need to be contained like rabid dogs. Earth Command responds by promoting Stevens to admiral, gives him command of the 7th Fleet. Stevens suspects someone on the council is in bed with the Bolians. He assigns his best officers to dig up dirt while he rallies the fleet. The 7th is a tough bunch, but badly outnumbered by the Bolian armada. Conventional tactics won't cut it. This is all-out galactic war now. Stevens pores over schematics for experimental weapons, unorthodox strategies, anything to give humanity an edge. Then a distress call from Frontier Base Theta, humanity's most vital outpost in the Rim. The Bolians are hitting it with everything they've got. Stevens has a choice to make, and fast. Reinforce Theta or gamble it all on a strike at the heart of Bolian space. The fate of countless human lives hangs in the balance. All of humanity is looking to Stevens now, praying he can pull off a miracle. This is what he trained for. Time to see what he's really made of. Because if the Bolians aren't stopped here and now, human civilization may not survive. Send in the humans. Send everything we've got. It's the only hope any of us have left. In the war room of the 7th Fleet's flagship, the UESS Indomitable, Admiral Stevens studies the holographic map of Frontier Base Theta. Red markers indicate Bolian forces, their numbers far exceeding the blue markers representing human defenses. He clenches his jaw, the weight of his decision heavy on his shoulders. Commander Riker, Stevens says, turning to his second-in-command, you'll take the 3rd and 5th squadrons to reinforce Theta. Hold the line at all costs. Buy us the time we need. Riker nods, his eyes steeled with grit. Yes, sir. We won't let Theta fall. As Riker's forces depart, Stevens gathers the remaining ships of the 7th Fleet. We're going to hit the Bolians where it hurts, he declares. We'll strike their supply lines, draw their attention away from Theta. It's time to bring the fight to their doorstep. The fleet jumps into Bolian space, engines humming with power. Stevens watches the stars blur past the viewport, his mind racing with strategies and contingencies. At Frontier Base Theta, Commander Riker's forces dig in, preparing for the Bolian onslaught. The base's shields flicker as the first wave of enemy fire impacts, the ground shuddering beneath their feet. Brace for impact, Riker shouts as a barrage of missiles slam into the base's defenses, tearing gaping holes in the perimeter walls. The Bolians advance, their weapons pulsing with a sickly green light. Riker's troops fight back, their rifles spitting plasma bolts into the enemy ranks. But the Bolians keep coming, their numbers seemingly endless. Riker grits his teeth, watching his soldiers fall one by one. He slams his fist on the console, activating the base's terraforming systems. The ground shifts and buckles, creating makeshift trenches and barriers. Automated turrets rise from hidden compartments, raining fire on the Bolian forces. Hold the line, Riker roars, rallying his troops. Every second counts. In Bolian space, Admiral Stevens leads a series of daring raids, his ships striking hard and fast before vanishing into the void. Shipyards burn, supply depots crumble, and Bolian reinforcements are forced to turn back to defend their own territory. Meanwhile, Agent Jonas Black and his covert team infiltrate the Bolian homeworld, slipping past security checkpoints and guarded facilities. They hack into encrypted networks, uncovering a web of deceit and manipulation. It's worse than we thought, Black reports to Stevens over a secure channel. There's a cabal within the Bolian government pulling the strings, and they've got allies on the Pan-Galactic Council. Stevens's blood runs cold at the revelation. The true scope of the conspiracy becomes clear, a tangled knot of power and betrayal that threatens to strangle humanity's future. Back on Earth, news of the war dominates the headlines. Protests erupt in the streets, some demanding peace, others calling for retribution. Admiral Stevens' wife, Sarah, holds their son Alex close as they're escorted to a secure location, fear and uncertainty etched on her face. Stevens steels himself, knowing that the fate of humanity rests on his shoulders. He must expose the truth, rally allies, and bring an end to the Bolian threat at any expense. As reinforcements arrive at Frontier Base Theta, the tide of battle begins to turn. Riker's forces push back against the Bolian advance, their spirits bolstered by the arrival of fresh troops and supplies. In the depths of Bolian space, Stevens prepares for the final confrontation, his fleet poised to strike at the heart of the enemy. He knows that victory will require more than just firepower. It will take cunning, diplomacy, and the unbreakable will of the human spirit. The stage is set for a climactic showdown, one that will determine the fate of not only humanity, but the balance of power in the galaxy itself. Admiral Stevens, Commander Riker, and Agent Black stand united, ready to face the greatest challenge of their lives. The battle for humanity's future has only just begun. Admiral Stevens' eyes narrowed as he decrypted the coded transmission from Agent Black. The message scrolled across his view screen, revealing the depth of the conspiracy they faced. "Damn it," Stevens muttered, pounding his fist on the console. He keyed the comm. "Commander Riker, report to my ready room immediately." Minutes later, Riker strode in, his face grim. "Sir?" "Black's team is compromised. They have critical intel, but they're trapped on the Bolian homeworld. We need to get them out." Riker nodded. "I'll assemble a strike team right away." "Good, I want our best. Kovacs and Haynes." "Deadeye and Killswitch? Bold choice, sir." "We need bold right now, Commander." As Riker departed, Stevens turned his attention to the fleet. The Seventh's ships hung in formation, a steel wall between humanity and annihilation. He opened a channel to all vessels. "This is Admiral Stevens. We're launching an all-out assault on the Bolian shipyards. Hit them hard, hit them fast. This is our chance to turn the tide." The fleet surged forward, engines flaring. On the bridge of the UES Defiance, Stevens watched as space lit up with weapons fire. Bolian ships scrambled to intercept, but the Seventh Fleet's surprise attack caught them off guard. Plasma torpedoes slammed into the shipyard's outer defenses. Fighters swarmed like angry hornets, peppering Bolian vessels with laser fire. "Evasive maneuvers!" Stevens barked as enemy fire raked across the Defiance's hull. The ship shuddered, alarms blaring. "Hull breach on deck 4, an ensign shouted. Stevens gripped his chair. "Seal it off. Concentrate fire on their command center." The battle raged for hours. Ships on both sides erupted in silent explosions. The Defiance took hit after hit, but Stevens' unconventional tactics kept the Bolians off balance. Meanwhile, on the Bolian homeworld, Riker's team fought street by street through the capital city. Plasma bolts sizzled past as they took cover behind a bombed-out building. "Deadeye, we need that sniper support!" Riker shouted into his comm. High above, Jack's Deadeye Kovacs peered through his scope. "I see him, Commander. On your 6. A series of precise shots rang out. Bolian soldiers toppled, taken out with surgical precision. Zara, kill switch. Haynes sprinted forward, her cybernetic limbs a blur of motion. She vaulted over a barricade, landing behind 2 Bolian troopers. Her augmented fists made short work of them. "Area clear, sir," she reported. They pressed on, but with each block came more resistance. Riker watched helplessly as good soldiers fell. Finally, they reached Black's position. The agent and his team were holed up in a half-collapsed building, Bolian forces closing in. "Cavalry's here," Riker said, helping Black to his feet. "About damn time," Black grunted. We need to move. Zortok's entire army is bearing down on us. As if on cue, the ground shook with the impact of heavy artillery. Riker's team was pinned down, cut off from their extraction point. Black's eyes gleamed. I have an idea. There's a prototype stealth ship in a facility 2 clicks from here. If we can reach it... Riker nodded grimly. It's our only shot. Let's move. They fought their way through waves of Bolian soldiers, Deadeye's precision fire, and kill switches' enhanced strength clearing a path. The prototype ship loomed ahead, sleek and deadly. Cover me! Black shouted, racing to the ship's access panel. His fingers flew over the controls as blaster fire peppered the hull around him. With a hiss, the hatch opened. We're in! The teams piled in, Riker laying down covering fire. The ship's engines roared to life, cloaking fields shimmering as they lifted off. Zortak's forces swarmed the area, but the stolen ship slipped past undetected. They were home free. Back on the Defiance, Stevens pored over the intel from Black's team. The pieces fell into place. Cabal's plan, the corrupt council members, all of it. We can't fight this war alone, Stevens said, turning to his staff. Prepare diplomatic channels. We need allies. Across the galaxy, Stevens' envoys spread the word. Some scoffed at the evidence. Others listened. As the truth came to light, battle lines were drawn anew. Stevens stood on the bridge, watching the stars. The real war was just beginning. Against the Bolians, against the Cabal, against corruption itself. He straightened his uniform. Whatever came next, humanity would face it head-on. Admiral Stevens stood on the bridge of the Defiance, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. Ships from a dozen allied worlds flocked to his banner, their hulls gleaming as they slid into formation alongside the 7th Fleet. All ships prepare for synchronized jump, Stevens ordered. We hit the Bolians hard and fast. No mercy. Space rippled as the fleet vanished into FTL. They emerged in Bolian territory, catching the enemy completely off guard. Plasma torpedoes streaked across the void, slamming into shipyards and military bases. Fighters swarmed from launch bays, peppering Bolian defenses with laser fire. On the Bolian homeworld, Commander Riker led his strike team through the streets of the capital. Deadeye took point, his rifle cracking as he dropped sentries with pinpoint shots. Killswitch brought up the rear, her cybernetic limbs whirring as she scanned for threats. Palace defenses ahead, Riker whispered. Killswitch, you're up. The cyborg soldier nodded, interfacing with the planetary grid. Her eyes glowed as she worked, bypassing firewalls and security protocols. With a triumphant grin, she severed the connection. Grid's down. We've got our window. They stormed the palace, Bolian guards falling before their onslaught. Deadeye's shots echoed through ornate halls as Riker and Killswitch fought hand-to-hand, leaving a trail of unconscious bodies in their wake. Emperor Wiesen cowered on his throne as the strike team burst in. You dare invade the sacred... Riker cut him off. Save it. You're coming with us. But the Emperor wouldn't go quietly. He ranted and raved, spilling secrets of the Cabal's plans for galactic domination. Riker's eyes widened as he realized the scope of their ambitions. On the Defiance, Stevens received an urgent transmission. A Bolian armada was bearing down on their allies' homeworld. He gritted his teeth, knowing he couldn't abandon his friends. Riker, status report, he barked into the comm. We've got Wiesen, sir, but he won't shut up about the Cabal's plans. Stevens's mind raced. This was their chance. Patch his confession through to me. I've got an idea. As the Defiance traded fire with the Bolian flagship, Stevens broadcast Wiesen's rant across all frequencies. The Emperor's voice echoed through comm systems across the sector, exposing the Cabal's treachery for all to hear. The effect was immediate. Wavering worlds pledged their support, rallying behind Stevens' banner. The tide of battle shifted as fresh reinforcements poured in. Agent Black's operatives seized their moment, infiltrating the Cabal's command ship. With surgical precision, they sabotaged key systems, leaving the vessel dead in space. Stevens saw his chance. All ships, concentrate fire on the flagship. Push them back. The combined firepower of the Allied fleet tore through the Bolian lines. Enemy ships exploded or fled in disarray. On the Bolian homeworld, Riker's team fought their way back to their extraction point, a raving Weezin in tow. As the dust settled, Stevens allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The Bolian Dominion was in chaos, its leadership captured and its military shattered. But he knew the war was a long way to go. Somewhere out there, the remnants of the Cabal plotted their revenge, waiting for their chance to strike again. The dust of battle settled, but Admiral Stevens found no peace in victory. He stood before the assembled delegates of the Alliance worlds, his voice steady as he outlined the terms of the accord. The Bolian representatives, once proud and defiant, now signed with trembling hands. As applause echoed through the chamber, Stevens's eyes met those of Agent Black, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. The real work was just beginning. Weeks passed. Stevens pored over reports from across the galaxy, watching for signs of resurgent conflict. The comm unit on his desk chirped, and Black's face appeared on the screen. "Sir, we've got a situation," Black said, his voice low. "The Cabal, they're back." Stevens's face hardened. "Where?" "Nexus Quadrant. They've allied with the Black Hellions." "Damn it," Stevens muttered. He keyed in a series of commands, bringing up a holomap of the sector. "Objective?" "Intel suggests they're planning to destabilize the Alliance, create chaos, seize power in the aftermath." Stevens nodded grimly. "Assemble a team. Riker, Deadeye, Killswitch. You'll lead them in." Black raised an eyebrow. "Sir, with all due respect." "I know the risks, Agent, but we need our best on this." The journey to the Nexus Quadrant pushed their stealth ship to its limits. Riker piloted through asteroid fields and ion storms, evading mercenary patrols that hunted for easy prey. As they approached the Black Hellion compound, Killswitch interfaced with the ship's sensors. "Heavy fortifications," she reported. "Energy shields, automated defenses, the works." Deadeye peered through his scope at the facility below. "I count at least 50 guards on the perimeter alone." Black pulled up schematics on his datapad. "There's a weak point in their sensor grid here," he said, highlighting a section. "If we time it right, we can slip through undetected." They touched down under cover of darkness. The team moved silently through the compound's outer defenses, Killswitch disabling security nodes with quick bursts of code. Inside, they encountered their first patrol. Deadeye's rifle cracked twice, and the guards dropped without a sound. They pressed on, deeper into the heart of the facility. Black held up a hand, stopping the team. He pointed to a heavily guarded door. "That's it, the Cabal's command center." Riker nodded. "Killswitch, work your magic." The cyborg soldier's fingers flew over the access panel. Alarms blared, and the door slid open. They burst in, weapons ready. What they found inside chilled them to the bone. A massive bioweapon dominated the center of the room, its containment field pulsing with sickly energy. "By the stars," Riker breathed. "They're going to unleash this on Alliance worlds." Before they could act, the room erupted in chaos. Black Hellion elites swarmed in, backed by Cabal loyalists. Plasma bolts sizzled through the air as Riker's team fought for their lives. Deadeye's rifle sang a deadly song, each shot finding its mark. Killswitch became a whirlwind of cybernetic fury, her enhanced limbs crushing opponents with terrifying efficiency. But they were outnumbered, outgunned. Riker saw only one option. "Deadeye!" he shouted over the din of battle. "We've got to overload the containment field. It's the only way to stop them." The sniper nodded grimly, understanding what that meant. They fought their way to the weapons control panel, inputting the fatal sequence. Alarms screamed as the facility began to shake apart. Black and Killswitch cleared a path to the exit, but Riker and Deadeye knew they couldn't leave. Someone had to ensure the overload sequence completed. "Go," Riker ordered. "We'll hold them off." The last thing Black saw as the doors sealed was Riker and Deadeye, standing back to back, facing down a horde of enemies as the bioweapons containment field collapsed. The blast rocked the entire compound. When the dust settled, the Cabal's leadership was in custody, their weapon destroyed. but the cost had been high. Months later, Stevens stood before a gleaming memorial on Earth. Holographic images of the fallen flickered in the air, Riker and Deadeye's faces among them. He reached out, his fingers passing through the intangible light. A figure approached, hood pulled low. "Admiral," Agent Black said quietly. Stevens turned. "What is it?" "Sir, I'm sorry to disturb you, but there's something you need to know." Black's eyes darted around, ensuring they were alone. "The Cabal, what we stopped, it was just the beginning." Stevens felt a chill run down his spine. "Explain." "There's a greater threat out there, something that makes the Cabal look like children playing at war. If we don't act soon." Stevens looked back at the memorial, at the faces of those who had already given everything. He squared his shoulders, knowing what had to be done. "Tell me everything," he said.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.